Hey folks, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about the Ted Lindsay race. I'm a little dressed up because I had a church meeting right before this, but now I can focus on the video. Uh, I created a list of 17 forwards here who I think have a realistic shot at getting a vote in the Ted Lindsay race, though I think the top four, maybe top five, could still have realistic chances of winning it. We could even whittle it down to two, but we'll get there when I get there. Um, Ted Lindsay Award is handed out to the player, the most outstanding player, as judged by the NHLPA. It was the Lester B. Pearson Award up until 2010 was renamed to the Ted Lindsay Award. You'll notice everybody here is forwards because it is a forward focused award. There have been exceptions. Bobby Orr is the only defenseman to have won the award. He won it in the mid-70s. Mike Liut, Liut, I thought I could pronounce it, maybe I can't. He won it in 1980-81. Then in the middle of the 90s, Dominic Hasek won it back-to-back, and then Carey Price won it during his Hart season. So those are the only times a forward has not won the Ted Lindsay Award or Lester B. Pearson Award. So because I wouldn't say voting relies a lot on stats. It's kind of hard to judge exactly who would win it. If we had a statistic tracking every time a player's highlight went viral, maybe we could use that stat to judge it, because it's more of a eye test award, which is fine. I'm not complaining about that. And since I don't have an eye test on every single player, or at least the top 20 forwards, it's hard for me to really judge that, or anyone really. But I did my best. I put together some stats that I thought might be used. The first one after the name is goals per game. Then it's assists per game, points per game. So those should be self-explanatory. Then it's games created per game played. Or not games created, goals created. Goals created it's a interesting stat. I don't use it too much, but it's an interesting way of seeing a player's contribution to the offensive contribution to the game. So it's calculated, I believe, by Hockey Reference. That's at least where I got the stat from. The formula, you don't have to follow along if you don't want to. It's goals plus assists, but the assists are times by 0.5, so half of the actual assists. And then that number is times by the team goals. And then that number is divided by the sum of team goals and team assists times by 5, or 0.5, so half of that. If that makes sense. Maybe I could write it out, but I'm not really going to get into it. The point is, the theory of it is, it's a way of judging a player's ability to create goals for the team. I think it's an interesting stat, but again, I don't use it too much. But I decided to use it here, and that's how I sorted players. I sorted players based on goals created per game played. There is a notable exception. I did not include Logan Stankoven because he's only played 3 games, I believe. I have it on my phone here. 6 games. My bad. But he's at a pretty impressive rate in that regard. So he's not in here, even though he is 4th in the league in goals created per game. But because he only played 3, he's not there. Mark McLaughlin has played 1 game. He's also not here. He is 7th in the league in goals created per game. But I decided to have a limit and not consider players who've played less than 5 games. Or I guess Stankoven's played 6, less than 10 games in the award. Then after that, I decided to include shots per game played, because what the heck. This is offensive point share. Another interesting stat that I don't use too much, but is still interesting, calculated by Hockey Reference. I'm not going to really get into the weeds of how that's calculated. That should get its own video if people bother. And then here is just another interesting thing. Probably doesn't mean much. Is shootouts made, shootout goals made, shootout goals attempted, and then their shootout percentage. I think that includes penalty shots. if not, whatever. The real numbers we're going to be looking at are these first four. Maybe OPS. The other ones are kind of just there for being interesting. So let's start from the top. It's Nikita Kucherov. He's got a lot of blue here because if it's deep blue, it's top two, and then the letter you get. So everybody who has a blue number there, that's a top 10 number. And if the number is bold in dark blue, that means it's the best in the league. And Nikita Kucherov leads the league in goals created per game played at .62. And he has been excellent, as I discussed in the heart race video. I think he's going to win the heart race. In my opinion, I would vote for him if the Lightning make the playoffs. He's been just incredible to watch, and his numbers have been incredible. There isn't really anything going against him in the Ted Lindsay race, besides some incredible performances from other players. Next is Nathan MacKinnon, who's second in goals created per game played, and he's produced a ton of points as well, scoring a fair amount. He's been on the highlight reel quite a bit, and he gets quite a lot of shots. Third is Austin Matthews. He could seriously win it because he might hit 70 goals for the first time since the early 90s. He's at .88 goals per game played, and just incredible. He's had a lot of shootout attempts, but has been successful on only 2 of them. I say only 2 of them because I wouldn't call that bad. It's just we'll get to Mitch Marner because you can see his blue numbers down the bottom. And then Connor McDavid rounds out the 4 guys who I think have a realistic chance at winning the award. His assist rate has been phenomenal, 1.31 assists per game played. I believe he's on track for over 100 assists, which would also be insane. He's 2 for 2 on shootouts, and he's 4th in goals created per game played as well, unless you include Logan Stankoven. Next is David Pastrnak. He leads the league in shots per games played and has been an offensive weapon. Then I'm not going to get after all these other guys outside of those top 5 because I feel like those are the most realistic chances. But I'll read off the names. There's Artemi Panarin, William Nylander, who's 0 for 6 in the shootout, by the way. Sam Reinhart, incredible player, though I think voters might see him as there's been a criticism of him as being a merchant of the team. I don't like using that word because he still scored the goals. He's still 2nd in goals per game played. He scored them, I didn't, so good on him. Leon Draisaitl, an incredible talent to watch, and he's on the highlight reel enough to probably earn some votes. JT Miller, I keep saying it. I'm a fan of JT Miller, and the reason I keep saying it isn't because I'm like a massive fan of him. I'm just kind of a fan of him, but because so many people seem to hate him, and I think he deserves a lot of credit. Jack Hughes probably looked like he was going to win it earlier in the year, but since returning from injury, he's kind of slowed down, which is fine. He's still at an incredible rate, 1.28 points per game played. Mikko Rantanen, great talent. Probably not going to get too many votes in the Ted Lindsay race, but he might get a few. Kirill Kaprizov, I think, will get a decent amount due to his recent play. I'm going to assume voters will ignore his 0 for 5 shootouts because it doesn't really mean much. I just figured, might as well throw him in there while I'm at it. He carries that Minnesota offense. No disrespect to Eriksson, Zuccarello, or anybody, but it is the Kirill Kaprizov show in Minnesota. Zach Hyman has also been at an incredible goal rate, 0.71 goals per game played. Like Sam Reinhart, there is some criticism of him in that, well, it's because you're playing with McDavid and Draisaitl. Yeah, he probably wouldn't be on pace for close to 60 goals without them, sure. But at the end of the day, he's on pace for close to 60 goals, and only 2 other guys in the entire league are doing that. And so that's still impressive nonetheless. And when you watch him play, you do see he's a very smart shot. He's a very talented shot. And though a lot of his goals come from his offensive intelligence in being at the right place at the right time. And so McDavid and Draisaitl aren't always required to give him the greatest pass of all time for him to score. He's able to get open and fight for the puck very well. I talked a bit more about Hyman than I planned to. Mitch Marner, I'm sure will get a few votes, not only because he plays in Toronto, but because he is an incredible talent. If voters are going to include takeaways, he might get some more votes, as would McDavid and Draisaitl. I don't think they do, but they might. Marner is notable in the amount of assists he produced, and he's 4 for 4 in the league. That's, in my opinion, the best. He's got the most shootout goals scored among guys who have a 100% success rate. But he's second otherwise, because I think it's Cole Caulfield who has 5 shootout goals, but that's over 10 tries. Elias Pettersson and Sidney Crosby also might have been considered. Will probably get votes because they are also incredible talents that should not be overlooked. Crosby might get some due to namesake, but that's not because he's been bad. He's just been really good, and he's a joy to watch all the time. This is one of the few seasons, maybe the only season, and it probably won't last, where his goals per game played is above assists per game played. Just kind of shows how the offense has changed over the years for him, where he's starting to score more. Maybe that's a knock on Pittsburgh. I don't know. He's going to have to score more if Gensel's traded, which it seems more and more likely, which I didn't think would happen until yesterday. I kind of ignored all the media. I'm like, you're just saying things. But after that loss to Edmonton, it seems more likely to happen. But back to Elias Pettersson, I kind of skipped over him. He's the full package. So if voters are going to look more at defensive play, Pettersson and Crosby will likely get some more votes. Let's focus on the guys who actually have a shot at winning this. I think Matthews and McDavid are your two best choices. I'm going to bring up the list of recent winners here really quick. Ted Lindsay, on my phone, not on the screen. Ted Lindsay Award, because I know McDavid's won 3 already, I believe. I'm just checking my numbers before I get into it. 4 times, my bad. 4 times. So back to Matthews and McDavid, another reason to point them out is they've won the last 3 combined. McDavid won back-to-back 2016-17. Then he was followed by Nikita Kucherov, who's looking for his second Ted Lindsay Award. And then Nikita Kucherov was followed by Draisaitl, who probably won't get a second this year. I assume probably, because you don't know what happens in the last 20 games. But statistically unlikely. Before McDavid won twice, with Matthews winning in between those 2 wins, his 3rd and 4th win. So McDavid has fair share. I don't think he's really looking forward to it, but he'd be happy to have it. So at this point, I think it's probably going to come down to how many more points Kucherov gets than the rest. Because if his points total isn't like super ahead of everybody, it's probably going to be between Matthews and McDavid. Because if I'm assuming, this is assuming Matthews hits 70 goals, which he seems likely to do, and I'm assuming McDavid hits 100 points, which he might do, and he leads the league in points per game played, so he might just catch up to Kucherov in that regard, and that might win him the Ted Lindsay Award. It's even though these top 5 guys I talked about were all the guys I talked about in the Hart race, it is important to note there is a difference. Hart is most valuable player, and this is most outstanding player. So it's just pure talent, ignoring playoff contention, ignoring how much your team relies on you. It's just how amazing you are. And the last time a 70-goal season happened, I mentioned that was 91-92, when Alexander McGinley and Teemu Selanne was in his rookie season, both had 76 goals. McGinley did do it in less games, though the last time a 100-assist season happened, I am bringing that up right now, NHL is... yeah, I know Gretzky did it a ton. Let's play with 100 assists. I believe it was Gretzky, just making sure. Yeah, 90-91, when he had 122 assists. I don't think McDavid's going to get to 122 assists. The point is, both of these are super rare, and they both might happen this year, which is just amazing and incredible. And I think the NHL is entering probably one of, if not its best era. That could be a different video. So what's more impressive, 70 goals or 100 assists? I saw one guy do some numbers. I didn't keep them because, well, let me get into it first. He basically did a bunch of math proving that a 70 goal season is more rare than 100 assists. And the logic there was because 70 goal seasons are more rare than 100 assist seasons, therefore it's more impressive. And the math was good. I liked the math. I thought it was interesting. But the reason I'm not talking about it is because I don't think rarity equals impressiveness. It's, okay, well, how many points are you producing or goals created if you want to use that stat, which Matthews does lead McDavid in by 0.04 per game. And I figured the way I see it is, okay, well, for every goal scored, there's up to 2 people who can have an assist. So obviously goals are going to be more important, mathematically speaking. And not to discredit assists, and not even to discredit secondary assists. I think those are still very important. But by that way of thinking, if it takes 2 assists to match a goal, then 70 goals is worth 105 assists. So if Matthews ends at 70 goals exactly, McDavid ends at 100 assists exactly, which very likely might happen, I would say the 70 goals is more impressive. And that's not even counting how many assists Matthews had or how many goals McDavid has. That's just one way of putting it. So if those 2 hit those milestones, I think the race is between them. If neither of them hit those milestones, then it might go to Kucherov, I would say. It still could go to Matthews because he has 6 hat tricks, I believe, on the season, which, wow, amazing. I think second place has like 3, maybe 2. And not to discredit McKinnon, I think he's still going to get quite a few votes. It just feels like with how incredible Matthews and McDavid are doing, McKinnon has to lead the league in points, which he's not right now. It's Kucherov, and he might not because McDavid's catching up. It's actually a really fascinating race, but hard to judge because you don't know how it's going to be voted on. It's not super mathematical. It's very eye test based, which is why McDavid has won it quite a bit, because when you're watching, if you watch all the players, you're going to come away and saying McDavid is the most outstanding player. That's why he wins, and that's not the only reason why he wins. It's also because he just puts up a lot of great numbers. So this is my way of just trying to add numbers to the thought process behind the Ted Lindsay race. If the season ended right now, I would probably give Matthews the award, followed by McDavid, not Kucherov, then McDavid. Because if the season ended right now, then McDavid wouldn't have 100 assists. So McKinnon would be 4th, and then Pastrnak 5th. With no discredit to anyone else here, but you only get 5 votes in these votes. So yeah, that made sense. So that's my humble opinion. I would like to know what your thoughts are. Who do you think is leading the race right now? Who do you think would win if the season ended right now? More importantly, when the season's all said and done, who do you think will win? Will Matthews hit 70 goals? I don't want to say probably, but statistics say yeah, which is crazy. Will McDavid hit 100 assists? Another incredible possibility. It's been a really fun season to watch, and that's exemplified in the Ted Lindsay race. So please leave a like if you like this video. I wouldn't say it was my most enjoyable one to watch. I shouldn't say that. Ignore that part. I still enjoyed it. I still enjoyed making this. So please leave a like if you think I've earned it. Subscribing and turning on notifications would be a huge help. Or any one of those things is a huge help, and I appreciate it all. Even if you're just using me as white noise, I'm okay with that too. Anyways, I have some more videos planned. Lots of deadline news to research and put a video together by the end of the week. And I'll see you when I see you.